Guys, today we're taking a look at a pair of sneakers that is probably way nicer than you thought. Here we have the box. I actually really like what they've done with this. They're taking on the kind of cement look. So you got the speckling on the side, the huge Jumpman branding on the top, and all of that is in gold. Really nice contrast to the rest of the box being all over white. And I just like that they went with this theme rather than the other one, which has the huge flight text and all of the speckling. Either way, let's pull them open and let me show you guys today's pair of sneakers. It's the Jordan 4 Sail. Nothing else in the box, no extra laces, no added little hang tags or anything like that, just the shoes. But here we have them, the Jordan 4 Sail, or white and gold, which is what is on the Nike sneakers app. Quick interruption for today's video sponsor, my second channel. It's not paying me, I decided to do this one pro bono, but I did just want to let you guys know I do have a second channel with my brother and we're posting a ton of just really fun, random videos. One of the latest uploads is where we're playing a game where we're trying to split things in half and it's pretty hilarious. But we've also got a couple other really fun videos like behind the scenes of our creator setups, brutally ranking every energy drink that we could get our hands on, and a ton more. So if you want to check out my second channel, subscribe, I appreciate you. It's linked down in the description. The sneaker that leakers had an absolute field day with. I mean, as soon as they heard that we were going to be getting a Jordan 4 Sail, they were just non-stop posting about the Off-White 4s. In fact, most of the early mock-ups of this pair of shoes was literally the Off-White 4s, just removed all of the text and Off-White elements. Now, personally, I do think that that was a big stretch for this pair of shoes, but I do guess that the tonal aspect of this, the monochromatic aspect of this, you can draw some similarities. But if you asked me, these are far closer to the pure money 4s than the Off-White, so I mean, look at them. Either way, let's get into the release details for these things. They are dropping right around the corner on March the 9th. They retail for £190 here in the UK or $210 if you're around the US. I'm not entirely sure how hard it's going to be to get this pair of shoes for retail. I've seen some rumors that the stock is going to be relatively high, but considering that the Jordan 4 is like the last Jordan model that is still holding on to that extreme hype factor, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw these things flying off of shelves. Now, the inspiration behind the colorway of this sneaker does seem to be jewelry, hence all of the gold accents that you see on the top. However, Jordan Brand doesn't explicitly say that in the description for this pair of shoes. It's just that a lot of their promo images for this pair of shoes make it pretty obvious. What Jordan does say about this sneaker is that it has all over Luxe materials. And I think that they're kind of half right with that. The leather overall on this pair of shoes is generally quite nice, especially around the toe box. It feels pretty thick and soft. These are also pretty much entirely made of leather. So there's leather on everything except for the back tab, which still comes with the plastic, and the lace eyelets, that's also plastic. But unlike typical Jordan 4s where the wings are plastic, this comes in all over leather as well. And I'm actually a really big fan of how the leather straps looks on a pair of Jordan 4s. I don't mind the plastic, but just sometimes on some colorways, I think it does add a lot to the overall silhouette. Again, similar to the pure money 4s in that aspect. Oh yeah, and of course you get the rubber mesh on the sides as well as underneath the laces. Of course, that's not leather. Now, the tongue on these has a pretty interesting swap. So if you take a look at this, instead of having the flight patch with the Jumpman logo, they've replaced that for an embossed Jumpman logo with the flight text underneath as well. I didn't realize until I got these things in how much that changes the general look of this pair of shoes. Like when you just see the embossing, it just looks a lot more, I guess for lack of better words, kind of luxury. It seems silly because it is such a small detail, but there's something about just having that kind of pressed into the leather that I think is quite a simple and clean look. The midsole on these things, that's where we get into one of the first parts that I'm not the biggest fan of. So the midsole has glossy material, which does have a slight shine to it, and it's really not that noticeable because this is an all-over monochromatic colorway, but I do wish that they just kept it matte. I think that would look a little bit better, but nevertheless, the rest of the midsole is pretty nice. You've got the outsole spilling up onto the upper that has a slightly more sail look to it. Is a little bit more traditional to like aged midsoles, I guess you could say, and I'm really a fan of that because it keeps this pair of shoes monochromatic but also has a slight difference just to break it up a little bit. The next part of these things, which again I'm not the biggest fan of and is the most obvious part, is of course the golden shiny lace eyelets. Kind of get that it's probably the main feature with this pair of shoes. It's the most standout thing about it. It's where they're putting a lot of the promo for this pair of sneakers into, but if you ask me, I'm not the biggest fan of super flashy gold elements on a sneaker. I didn't like it on the Frozen Moments with the silver, and I don't like it on these either. I think the gold is a little bit better, and obviously because you don't have the wings covered in that same material as well, it's not as bad as the Frozen Moments, but yeah, still nah. Also did play around with getting rid of that color on the Frozen Moments, just basically trying to find an easy way to change the color without having to do anything extreme. It seemed like a little bit of acetone to remove the film and then just paint over it. It was the easiest option. There could be a better option out there. I'm not a sneaker customizer, but I did do that. I tested it out and it seemed to work just fine. I would potentially try it out on these things as well. At least let me try it out first. Don't ruin your pair. I'm not suggesting that you try that. It's just something I did and it kind of worked. It's relatively easy to do if this does bother you. However, if it doesn't and you kind of like the gold or you're not that bothered by it, then why not just keep it on there? Now, I get that some people might look at this colorway and just be like, it's just all over sale. Like, what's the big deal? Yep, I agree with you. Don't worry. But I don't think that having just a plain old colorway of a pair of Jordans is a bad thing by any means. In fact, I'm a big fan of just having a solid monochromatic colorway. I think these look really good on foot. I am maybe a little bit biased because I am a fan of just brighter shoes like all over white sneakers or all over sale in this case. Either one is a great option, at least to me. Super wearable, nice colorway that's going to go with a lot, especially if you do find a way to get rid of the gold. That will just make it 10 times more wearable. In terms of sizing, they fit just like any other pair of Jordan 4s, which in my personal case is true to size, so that's what I'm going to recommend to you. However, important note here, these are labeled as a woman's release, which sadly, unlike the off-white 4s that we were talking about, will not come in extended sizing. So I'll throw up a men's to women's sizing conversion for Jordan Brand just in case anybody's interested. There is a ton of pretty insane Jordan 4s releasing this year. I mean, we just came off of the back of one of the biggest releases this year, full stop, which is the Jordan 4 Bread Reimagined. Next month, we've got the return of the military blue 4s. We've also got the Fear 4s lined up for some point this year as well. So I completely understand if a plain old monochromatic sale pair of Jordans is not on the top of your priorities this year. But for me personally, it's a colorway that I'm actually really hyped to wear. I think these are going to go really, really nicely for the summertime. I think it's an easy throw on with a bunch of different outfits. Again, like I said, especially if you do find a way to get rid of the gold. Or hey, these will probably go even harder if you find a makeup fit around the gold accents that look super cool as well. And of course, I'm happy with the material. So overall, big fan of these things, but I'd love to know your opinion. What do you think of the Jordan 4 sale? Are you going to be going for them? Or what Jordan 4s do you have your eyes set on this year? And hey, check out the Travis Scott Jumpman Jacks over there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.